Chapter 1051 Swallowed Star. Flame Emperor looked at the scene a few hundred light years away. Everything was within his control. Luo Feng looked at the huge sand whirlpool around him. This sand whirlpool was about 100 kilometers tall and thick. Every grain's power was small, but after the countless grains gathered, Luo Feng felt like he was about to be crushed. Moshe Clansman. Luo Feng held a stone in his left hand. Who? The stone immediately vanished. Rumble the endless sand whirlpool immediately crushed Luo Feng. Immediately he was smashed into pieces, following which he was crushed into nothingness by the countless grains. The human Blade River is dead, dead. His treasures are mine. In the distance, Ma Sha Knight was incredibly excited and excited. He could feel the treasures within the endless sand. He had never realized before that obtaining treasures was so easy. There were at least 6 treasures, and he could actually obtain them so easily. It was simply too. Where are my treasures? Where are they? Ma Sha Knight suddenly let out a loud and furious roar. No matter how he searched, he couldn't find a single treasure. Su. In the distance, a golden armored youth appeared. Luo Feng. Blade River Emperor Luo Feng. He's there. The evil wing leader and the sage saw him. He was surrounded by the endless sand earlier. How did he suddenly appear 10,000 kilometers away? Was it teleportation? But within the space lock, there's no way to teleport. Double quote. The human Blade River. Ma Sha Knight stared in disbelief at the distant Luo Feng. He actually didn't die. Die. Ma Sha Knight roared. The surrounding endless sand madly pressed down on Luo Feng. Who? Luo Feng seemed to vanish into thin air, immediately appearing 10,000 kilometers away. Xiu. Shoo. 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 Xiu. Xiu. Luo Feng madly flickered. In the blink of an eye, he was already 10,000 kilometers away. It's not teleportation. It's a natural ability. It's a space-type natural ability domain. The sage frowned. Trouble. The evil wings cult master coiled his body and spread his wings. He turned his head to look at the furious Supremacy Ma Sha and sneered. Old Mud Frog, I'm afraid that Supremacy Ma Sha is the most disappointed among the 3 of us. Luo Feng still managed to escape. This Luo Feng has a natural talent that allows him to escape from even universe lords. Only a few universe overlords can stop him from escaping. Double quote. Yes. The clay-frogged wise man nodded. Domain first fused with space before transforming into a divine body. No matter how Supremacy Ma Sha controlled the treasures to attack, he could easily dodge them once they merged into space. Of course, if they encountered the Master of the Universe, the Master of the Universe would be able to completely control a region of space-time. Everything in this region of space-time could be controlled. Even if it merged with space, it could be forcibly kicked out. However, Reverend Ma Sha, the Mud Frog Sage, and the Evil Wings cult leader could not do it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. He could only watch as Luo Feng escaped, unable to do anything to him. Just the natural ability domain made Ma Sha Knight feel helpless. He could only rage and roar. The Mud Frog Wise Man and the Evil Wings hierarch watched all of this with interest. You two didn't even get it. What are you so proud of? Ma Sha Knight raged. Ma Sha Knight, you two are an overlord of the universe. Look at you lose your composure. The sage smiled. The Evil Wings cult leader and I weren't proud at all. It's just that the 3 of us chased that Blade River Emperor Luo Feng together. We both believed that you had a chance of getting it, hence we didn't have much hope at the start. Naturally we weren't disappointed even if we failed. However, you are different. Just as we were about to get the treasure, we didn't expect the Blade River Emperor Luo Feng to still have such a trump card. The treasure slipped away again. Such pain. Haha, we can imagine. Double quote. Hahaha, the Evil Wings cult leader too let out a low laugh. Let's go. The Evil Wings cult leader said. Old Mud Frog. The sage smiled and nodded. Along with the Evil Wings cult leader, their speed rose to light speed and they entered the dark space and left. Damn, bastard, idiot. Ma Sha Knight's handsome face was filled with malevolence. Even though he was an overlord of the universe, it didn't mean he wasn't angry. It was just that there were very few things that could make him angry. This time, he thought he would get at least 6 treasures, including the soul treasure and the flying palace treasure. However, he suddenly missed out. This difference made Marshal Knight feel pain and rage. Blade River. Marshal Knight gritted his teeth and roared. He could only enter the dark space and leave. Dart. Within the main palace of the 3 continents of the Flame God clan, Bafeng Knight was extremely careful and didn't dare make a sound. He could feel the rage of the Flame Emperor. The Flame Emperor looked coldly at the space. The space rippled and images appeared. Luo Feng was using his natural ability domain to move forward again and again. Very good, my third junior, I've really underestimated you. The Flame Emperor thought, coldly watching the images. Flame Emperor, what do we do now? Bafeng Knight felt the Flame Emperor's energy calm down before speaking. You have a way to kill him? The Flame Emperor looked at Bafeng Knight. If he keeps on fleeing, I have no way to stop him. Bafeng Knight shook his head. This is the natural ability domain. Only special life forms that specialize in concealment and fleeing have it. Rumor has it that within the Mosha clan, only a few have such abilities. Even though these life forms have average battle capabilities, their survivability is extremely strong. Double quote. Wait. The Flame Emperor looked coldly at the space. Right now, the other alien races are arriving one after another. There are universe overlords and even high-level knights. Who knows, there might be someone who can stop this human Blade River Emperor. Double quote. Bafeng Knight listened obediently. He was suspicious within. Does the Flame Emperor have to insist on killing this Blade River Emperor Luo Feng? If he really wants to kill him, he could just do it himself. If he does, he can destroy Blade River Emperor Luo Feng with a flick of his hand. However, he doesn't do it himself. He's still watching. That's weird. Double quote. Dart. Within the Flame God's secret area, Luo Feng unleashed his natural ability domain for a while before sitting in the life form ship and continuing forward. Second Senior, the moment you sealed the space and covered the dark universe coordinates, I guessed your intentions. Luo Feng raised his wine glass. Hence I got my slave to bring my golden horned beast body and my many treasures back to the human domain. F Deity, Mosha Race Clone, Serene Ocean Clone. These 3 don't even have a single treasure. Even if I fail, I'll just waste some energy. Luo Feng sneered. Luo Feng wasn't an idiot. Knowing that the Flame Emperor wouldn't easily return the plunder armor, he naturally wouldn't risk the Pagoda Pearl or the Killing Wu Wings. Letting the Golden Horned Beast bring the treasures back to the human domain would naturally allow him to face any difficulties. Previously, when they had been attacked by Supremacy Marsha's domain-type treasure, the Earthling's main body had been destroyed, but the Mosha clone had escaped with the World Ring. The Netherworld Ocean clone was hidden in the World Ring. With the divine power contained in the Netherworld Ocean clone, it had easily restored the Earthling's main body that had been destroyed. This time, I've revealed one of my trump cards for escaping, my secret talent, domain. Luo Feng squinted. The Primal Chaos City leader teacher said before, this technique, against a universe lord, has a 100% chance of escaping. I've revealed this technique to get the plunder armor. The plunder armor, I have to get it. Luo Feng looked into space. He guessed that the Flame Emperor was observing his every move. If it's mine, it's mine. Even if you want to keep it, you won't be able to. Luo Feng smiled. Following the arrival of the Evil Wing leader and the first batch of 3 universe overlords, very quickly, the other universe overlords and high-level knights from the various superpowers all rushed over from the distant territories. Using the God Country teleportation and teleportation techniques, they swiftly rushed towards the Flame God clan. Their numbers grew. As Luo Feng was deep within the space seal, the other warriors couldn't catch up at all. Hence, the Flame Emperor shrunk the space seal by close to 100 light years. This way, the other pursuers could easily catch up to Luo Feng. Second Senior, you're really shameless. Luo Feng laughed within. Shoo. Luo Feng didn't hesitate this time. First, He teleported to the edge of the space seal and used his natural ability domain to swiftly enter the space seal. When the fastest foreign warrior caught up, he was a few million km away from Luo Feng. And the natural ability domain was enough to make the other foreign warriors give up. When Luo Feng entered the depths of the space seal, the others that arrived later didn't even have the chance to try. Dart. A bunch of trash. The Flame Emperor's gaze caused the floating images to shatter. At this time, he didn't even bother to hide his rage and unleashed it. The entire palace seemed to be engulfed in a sea of rage. Beside him, Ba Feng Knight was filled with shock and fear. He didn't understand why Luo Feng didn't die and why the Flame Emperor would be so angry. Step down. The Flame Emperor glanced at him. Yes. Ba Feng Knight said respectfully and stepped into the blurry red light and left. Trash, trash, a bunch of trash. The Flame Emperor hadn't been this angry in a long time. His scheme against Luo Feng failed and Luo Feng taking the Calamity Armor made him furious. Third Junior, you can slowly fly. It'll still take over 100 years to reach me. The Flame Emperor said coldly. He had already shrunk the space ceiling region twice. He was, after all, a high and mighty master of the universe. It was only because Mountain Passenger and the Tribulation Armor were involved that he lost his composure and did something as shameless as shrinking the space ceiling region twice. The Primal Star is about to open. I'll first head to the Primal Star to battle. Maybe I'll get a treasure comparable to the Calamity Armor. The Flame Emperor thought. However, he knew the chances of that were extremely low, as he had experienced the Primal Star opening many times. Even though he had gotten many treasures, most of them were normal. There were very few high-level treasures and none of the pinnacle treasures. Of course, from his exploration and killing in the other regions, he paid a huge price to prepare a pinnacle armor as a backup. However, comparing treasures was the worst. That pinnacle armor compared to the Calamity Armor was on a completely different level. HMPH. The Flame Emperor sat in his throne. Looking at the endless space, he closed his eyes and waited for the Primal Star to open. He had no way of dealing with Luo Feng. After all, with Mountain Passenger as a deterrent, he didn't dare go overboard. Chapter 1052 Swallowed Star. The hunt for Luo Feng could be said to be all talk and no action. Before, it was grand and majestic, attracting many absolute warriors from every race of the universe to rush over. However, Luo Feng's natural talent domain, the moment it was unleashed, at least those who were chasing him back then had no choice but to give up. As for the absolute warriors who rushed over later, as they were too late, Luo Feng had long entered the space lock region. They had no way of chasing him. Hence, the matter ended just like that. However, at the same time, Luo Feng's secret move natural talent domain was spread. At least the 10 warriors who were chasing him all knew about it. 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Naturally it was spread. This made many of the other races shocked. The human Blade River Emperor actually had such a powerful move. He actually looks down on me. Pei Feng Knight was even more enraged when he heard the news. Back when I fought him, he actually hid this move, fighting me without going all out. Blade River, you sure are vicious. This human Blade River dodged yet another attack. Why is he so hard to kill? After Dark Mirror Emperor found out, he was even more enraged, his roar causing the walls of the study room to shatter. Dart. The other races were shocked. The human race was shocked too. The natural talent domain was a natural talent gifted by the universe. It couldn't be acquired through training. Just with this move, Blade River Emperor can live for a long time on Primal Star. Just with this move, as long as he doesn't meet a Universe Lord, he can live. The natural talent domain is heavenly. The majority of the knights have no way of dealing with it. However, there are still some that are heavenly. Like the legendary Strongest World Tree. Combined with his natural talent, it's already comparable to a Universe Lord's control of space and time. There are also other special life forms that can suppress the natural talent domain. Double quote. The discussions of the outside world, Luo Feng roughly understood it through the virtual universe. This made him exclaim, to gain the respect of the other warriors, one had to rely on strength. Before, many human knights thought Luo Feng was looking for death by going to Primal Star. However, now that the natural talent domain was revealed, there were obviously fewer who thought he was looking for death. Domain. It's just for escaping. On Primal Star, when treasures appear, to fight for them, one has to fight and kill. Luo Feng thought, just relying on escaping isn't enough. Armor. I have to get it. Compared to the tribulation armor, the exposure of his innate secret technique, domain, was not even worth mentioning. This tribulation armor was a priceless treasure that even the Flare Emperor and other super existences coveted. Even the Primal Chaos City Master would be willing to risk his life and kill for such a treasure. Horizontal ellipsis. Time passed, year after year. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Luo Feng at the peak of the Lightning Island, the Primal Chaos City Master stood at the edge of the cliff, looking down. Tomorrow the Primal Star will open. I heard you intend to go too? Yes, teacher. Luo Feng stood behind the Primal Chaos City leader. What's the plan? Who do you want to form a team with? Did you invite any experts? The Primal Chaos City Master asked. No. Double quote. Luo Feng shook his head. If you want to form a team with someone, I can help. The Primal Chaos City Lord said, your strength is still slightly weak. Universe high-level warriors usually find 2-3 experts to complement each other and increase their chances of survival. You should also find suitable experts to help each other. Double quote. Who will I form a team with? Luo Feng shook his head. Universe high-level warriors forming a team doesn't mean much to me. As for forming a team with the Universe Overlords, even if they are willing, it would probably be because of you. In their hearts, they would probably think I'm dragging them down. It's better for me to go alone. Double quote. Alone? The Primal Chaos City leader was shocked. Your disciple is only going to experience it. I'll be careful. Luo Feng said. Right, you have the Blood Ocean as your foundation. The Primal Chaos City leader nodded. You can handle everything yourself. However, Luo Feng, why did you go to the Flame God clan and reveal your innate technique domain? Any trump card that's revealed is no longer a trump card. If the enemy wants to deal with you, they'll have to make preparations to deal with this move. Hence, the more powerful the move, the more you have to hide it. Unless it's a critical moment, you can't use it. Double quote. Your disciple understands. Luo Feng said, your disciple is going to the Flame God clan because of some personal matters. Personal matters? The Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng with interest. I won't bother too much with personal matters. Only that the Flame God clan is the Flame Emperor's territory. That Flame Emperor is an extremely strong being amongst the Universe Lords. Back then, in terms of talent and improvement, he probably wasn't any weaker than you, and was equally dazzling. Double quote. If you've checked the information, you should know that the Flame Emperor was originally a human. The Primal Chaos City leader said softly, maybe it's because he was too dazzling, growing and becoming invincible. No one at the same level could match up to him. He's never lost, winning time and time again. Hence, he doesn't even put anyone in his eyes. Double quote. He's extremely heroic and fearless. Indeed, he's a strong warrior. However, he lacks fear too. Maybe he thinks no one can suppress him. His ambition is too big, and he's not willing to be below others. Double quote. The Primal Chaos City leader shook his head. Luo Feng listened quietly. His ambition was too big, and he wasn't willing to be below others? And he has a flaw in his personality. He only remembers how others treat him badly, and doesn't remember how well they treat him. The Primal Chaos City leader shook his head. After becoming a Universe Lord, because of his numerous battles, he became even more arrogant. And extremely selfish. Double quote. Extremely selfish? Luo Feng was shocked within. He actually tried to kill a Universe Lord from his own race. The Primal Chaos City leader sighed, just to steal the treasures. Many conflicts erupted at once. The creator of the huge axe finally decided to punish him, and only wanted to lock him up to make him reflect. Who would have thought that he would actually bring his people from his home and betray humanity and leave? He's become the joke of the entire universe. Double quote. Luo Feng was shocked within. He's indeed a genius. The Primal Chaos City leader exclaimed, looking at you, it's like looking at him back then. He was nurtured to become an absolute warrior, and finally turned around to bite back. Even during the race wars, when the absolute warriors fight, he's even more ruthless against humanity. The Primal Chaos City leader shook his head. Luo Feng, if he wants to make a move against you, immediately summon me. I'll definitely rush over immediately. Luo Feng nodded. This conversation shocked Luo Feng. His second senior was actually like that. Selfish? Right, it's selfish. The armor was left for me by Teacher Mountain Passenger, yet he thought of ways to keep it. Luo Feng recalled his own experiences, and was wary of this second senior. Dart. The second day, the Primal Planet opened. This was a huge event for the trillions of races in the universe. Of course the Undyings didn't even know that this was a slaughter feast for the Absolute Warriors. Dart. Even though Luo Feng was in the Flame God race's territory and couldn't personally witness the opening of the Primal Planet, through the virtual universe, he was still able to watch the scenes of the many pathways opening. The scenes of the pathways opening were earth-shattering. The power was limitless. Every pathway's power was even more terrifying than the Universe Lord's. Following which, many teams from different powers began to rush into the Primal Planet. 10,081 pathways were scattered throughout the universe. The trillions of races formed the Absolute Powers. The Absolute Beings, either by themselves or in groups of 2 or 3, flew into the pathways and entered the Primal Planet. 10,081 Primal Planets. The bloody slaughter began. The universe is taking care of me. The armor is about to be taken away by my third junior. Teacher Mountain Passenger is watching me and can't do anything. Taking away one armor, who knows, I might get even better treasures. The Flame Emperor's majestic silhouette passed through one pathway and landed on another Primal Planet. The life ship traveled through the mist in space. Luo Feng's days were extremely peaceful. He spent most of his energy on the space laws and the beast god path. During the 80,000 years he spent creating his absolute arts, Luo Feng's space laws had already comprehended the second mystery seal. As for the third, he was close to comprehending it too. Comprehending the three mysteries and merging them into one, he would truly step into the realm of a universe knight. Obviously Luo Feng still needed a long period of time. The Primal Planet is really cruel. Even though Luo Feng didn't go, he still watched a few videos, brought out by the warriors from the Primal Planet. The Primal Planet was the closest place to the universe laws, a true treasure planet. It was also filled with danger. And stepping into the Primal Planet, one couldn't connect to the virtual universe. This was the first place Luo Feng knew of that couldn't connect to the virtual universe. My decision was wise. If I didn't have the armor, with my current strength, I would only be able to flee. Luo Feng endured silently. And during his peaceful 100 years, due to the appearance of the treasures, there were 12 large-scale battles on the Primal Planet. In these 12 large-scale bloody battles, hundreds of Universe Venerables and over 20 Universe Overlords had fallen, but the Universe Lords were all fine. Of course, the large powers of the universe were especially excited about the battles. Because the more valuable the treasures, the more warriors they would send, regardless of the cost. Dart. There isn't even a clear video. Luo Feng shook his head. That's right, that level of mad slaughter, destruction and destruction, there's indeed no way to record it clearly. It's a pity, these 12 large-scale battles have nothing to do with me. However, very soon they will be. Luo Feng stood in the control room. Through the external simulation, he looked at the distant 3 huge continents. That was the legendary place of the Flame God race. Even though he had seen the 3 continents long ago, the distance was too far. He still had to fly for over a month before finally reaching the border. This is the territory of our Flame God race. Human, you actually dare to come here? A Flame God silver-armored Undying flew over, his eyes filled with rage. HMPH. Luo Feng frowned. His aura emanated and suppressed the Undying. Flame Emperor. I've already arrived at your Flame God race territory. Luo Feng looked at the palace in the center of the three continents and his voice resounded. Show yourself. Author's note. Wow, I've finished the 4th and 5th chapters in one go. Who? Completed. The 5th chapter was completed. I strongly request for my monthly and recommended votes to Tomato He. Tomorrow Tomato will definitely sleep till noon, hence tomorrow's 2 chapters will be updated at night. Chapter 1053 Swallowed Star. Presumptuous. The flame god Undying roared. A long spear suddenly appeared in his palm and pointed at Luo Feng. Human, do you think the Flame Emperor is someone you can meet just because you want to? The Flame Emperor was the absolute leader of the Flame God race. Even though Luo Feng's strength was extremely strong, this Flame God warrior didn't retreat at all. Luo Feng glanced at the Flame God Undying. Under his pressure, he was still filled with fighting spirit. He immediately expanded his god energy and engulfed the Flame God Undying. Under absolute strength, the Flame God Undying's raging eyes were about to spit fire, however he couldn't even make a sound. Luo Feng looked at the distant palace and said, Flame Emperor, even a normal Undying dares to roar at me. Don't tell me you don't dare to show yourself. This is your race's base, and also the space you control. Don't pretend that you didn't hear what I said. Double quote. After saying that, Luo Feng waited silently. Dart. No one was stupid. This was the base of the Flame God race. The Flame Emperor definitely had absolute monitoring methods. If the Emperor pretended not to hear, he would be treating Luo Feng like a fool. After a while, rumble the distant main palace emitted a powerful god energy ripple, following which the space lock from before closed. A silhouette flashed and appeared before Luo Feng. Is this the human Blade River Emperor Luo Feng? A tall and sturdy horned bald man dressed in black armor said. He was about 10 meters tall and his skin was covered in a layer of scales, almost like snake scales. Even his face was covered in scales, only his head was bald and shiny. Right. Luo Feng nodded. This tall and sturdy horned bald man was a universe knight of the Flame God race. I'm Bing Wei Knight. The bald one-horned venerable laughed. The Flare Emperor asked me to wait here for Blade River King, and I finally waited. The moment I knew that Blade River King had arrived, I immediately closed the spatial seal protecting the clan. Luo Feng scoffed within. Closed? The space lock was probably specially prepared for him. As the two conversed, the flame god Undying that was suppressed by Luo Feng's god energy couldn't hear anything. Can Blade River Emperor let my clansman go? The Horned Knight said. Luo Feng immediately retracted his god energy. The one-horned venerable immediately turned to look at the clansman and shouted, retreat quickly. Yes, sovereign. The Undying warrior bowed respectfully, then teleported away. The one-horned knight smiled at Luo Feng. Blade River Emperor, please follow me. Luo Feng nodded and didn't refuse. He was not afraid of the Flare Emperor playing tricks. He had not arrived here before, so encountering some obstructions was nothing. However, since he had already arrived at the base of the Flame God race, if the Flame Emperor played any tricks, he would be insulting Luo Feng and his teacher Mountain Passenger. Horizontal ellipsis. The two of them teleported forward and arrived at the palace complex. The flames around the palace parted to form a path. At the end of the path were 2 rows of Flame God race Undying warriors. Luo Feng and the Horned Knight walked side by side. Where's the Flame Emperor? Luo Feng asked. That's the main hall. The one-horned venerable pointed at the tallest palace in the distance. This is also the residence of the Flare Emperor. The 2 palaces beside it are side halls, where ordinary guests stay temporarily. Saber River King, wait in the side hall first. When the Flare Emperor arrives, you will naturally meet him. Double quote. Luo Feng's expression changed. Stall for time? Luo Feng stared at the one-horned venerable. Did the Flame Emperor order you this? Have you informed him of my arrival? Don't tell me there's no way to inform him. HMPH, the Flame Emperor is the only universe lord of the entire Flame God race. He will definitely grasp the news of this place. Double quote. Blade River Emperor, don't be anxious. The one-horned venerable didn't care about Luo Feng's anger. I've just sent the news to the Flame Emperor. However, he is currently on the Primal Star, hence returning from the Primal Star, using the God Country's teleportation. It'll only take a moment. Luo Feng said coldly. Lead the way. I'll temporarily follow your arrangements and wait in the side hall. I want to see when the Flame Emperor will appear. Double quote. Please follow me. The one-horned venerable walked coldly in front. The two of them entered the side hall one after another. The one-horned venerable ordered his servants to prepare some delicacies and left immediately. A punk actually dares to be so arrogant. The one-horned venerable stood in the distance. Looking at the side hall, he laughed coldly. Even though he's an undying life form, he's merely an intermediate knight. At most, he's good at escaping. He actually dares to be disrespectful to our Flame Emperor, HMPH. If it wasn't for him ordering me not to cause trouble, I'll definitely let you know the consequences of being disrespectful to him. Double quote. HMPH. The one-horned venerable turned and left. He couldn't be bothered with Luo Feng at all. Within the side hall, delicacies from various parts of the universe were placed on the table. There were also many types of wine. Just this food alone was enough for an emperor level undying to spend all of his wealth. This second senior of mine sure is arrogant. Luo Feng sat there. News of my whereabouts being leaked. It's almost certain that he was the one who spread it. He obviously knew I was coming, yet he delayed. My arrival this time was on Mountain Traveler's orders. Once I'm strong enough to activate the armor, I'll retrieve it. This was Mountain Traveler Teacher's orders. He's acting like a universe lord. Luo Feng shook his head. The armor was originally Luo Feng's item. The Flame Emperor had used it for so long. Now that the owner Luo Feng had appeared, not only was he not in a rush to return it, he even ordered his subordinates to deal with Luo Feng. I'll wait. Let's see how long I have to wait. Luo Feng thought. This matter has already gotten out of hand. Large amounts of absolute warriors from the universe are chasing after me. News is flying everywhere. Mountain Traveler Teacher definitely knows and is paying attention to this. Second senior brother, Teacher Mountain Traveler is watching. I want to see how far you can put on airs. Double quote. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. 1 month, 2 months. There was no news at all. The Flame Emperor just didn't show himself. Delay. Continue to delay. Luo Feng closed his eyes. His consciousness connected to the virtual universe to meditate while he waited. His strength wasn't enough. He could only wait. Dart. Third Junior, let me first suppress your arrogance. The absolute genius of the human race. HMPH, I was even stronger than you back then. I'll let you understand that you should respect your seniors. The Flame Emperor sat cross-legged in an ancient forest on the primal planet. He carefully felt the ripples in the distance. If any treasures were to appear, there would be a special movement. Dart. Luo Feng had been waiting in the palace for over a year. During this time, he had been patiently waiting. Suddenly one day, Luo Feng was meditating cross-legged. Rumble. A powerful pressure spread out, enveloping the entire Void Palace complex, causing the countless servants and undying warriors to immediately bow respectfully. Luo Feng opened his eyes. He's finally here. Rumble. The space around him immediately changed. Luo Feng only felt the scene before him change and he was already in a vast palace. On the throne sat a majestic silhouette. His entire body was covered in dense scales. That huge horn, he looked exactly like the Flame God race. His eyes gazed down at Luo Feng. A formless pressure made Luo Feng feel like he was in a furnace. Second Senior. Luo Feng looked up at the Flame Emperor and smiled. Second Senior has finally arrived. I've waited for a long time. Rumble. The majestic silhouette stood up and walked down step by step. As he walked down the stairs, his body shrunk. By the time he reached the bottom, he was already the same height as Luo Feng. From Luo Feng's perspective as an Earth person, the Flame Emperor had a domineering aura that shot through the skies. It was a domineering aura. That domineering aura came from his bones and soul. It was naturally emitted without any intent. This was different from some arrogant and domineering warriors that people hated. The Flame Emperor's domineering aura only made people exclaim that this was an overlord. 3rd Junior. The Flame Emperor looked at Luo Feng with a smile in his eyes. Senior on Primal Planet, fighting for treasures with countless other races. Coincidentally, at the crucial moment of the birth of a treasure, hence I was delayed. I believe you won't mind. Double quote. Of course I won't mind. Luo Feng said. The Flame Emperor nodded. I've chatted with Puti. Teacher Mountain Passenger has instructed me on some things. As for you, I've specially gathered some information. You are indeed a rare absolute genius of the human race. However, you should know that all of this was given to you by Teacher Mountain Passenger. Hence, you mustn't be arrogant. You have to train humbly and quickly become a Universe Knight or even a Universe Lord. Your first senior and I have been waiting for this day. Double quote. Luo Feng frowned. He didn't like the Flame Emperor's high and mighty attitude. However, he still replied, I'll naturally work hard. Your luck isn't bad. To be able to survive the Star Pagoda life and death inheritance and become Teacher Mountain Passenger's 3rd disciple. The Flame Emperor looked at Luo Feng. Hence you should treasure this opportunity and not disappoint him. 2nd Senior. Luo Feng said directly. My goal for coming here, I believe you know it. Haha, for the plunder armor, of course I know. The Flame Emperor smiled at Luo Feng. Towards this 3rd Junior, the Flame Emperor instinctively hated him. As back then Mountain Passenger gave his all to nurture him, hence he was considered one of the top absolute geniuses in the universe. And the current Luo Feng wasn't any weaker than him. Even the Flame Emperor knew, this 3rd Junior would one day possess the ultimate treasure Star Pagoda. The Flame Emperor saw a huge threat from Luo Feng. However, Luo Feng was also the 3rd disciple that Mountain Passenger gave his all to nurture. He had no way of stopping him. Towards his first senior Puti, the Flame Emperor didn't even bother with him. He was just a servant of Mountain Passenger's teacher. His strength was much weaker than his. However, towards his 3rd Junior, the Flame Emperor was extremely cautious. Right, I'm here for the plunder armor. Luo Feng said. Teacher Mountain Passenger instructed me to retrieve it from 2nd Senior after I can activate it. Hence, I'm here now. The plunder armor is an absolute treasure of the vast universe. The Flame Emperor looked at Luo Feng. Its power is boundless. You're only an undying now and your strength is too weak. You can't even unleash much of its power. In fact, you might even lose the tribulation armor in your hands. From what I see, for the plunder armor, and for yourself, you should train more and raise your strength to become a Universe Knight. It won't be too late to retrieve the plunder armor then. I'll temporarily keep it safe for you. Once you become a Universe Knight, I'll give it to you. Double quote. Chapter 1054 Swallowed Star. Within the palace. Luo Feng, who had always been unhappy with the Flame Emperor, raged within. The armor is my own item, whether I can use it or not, whether I lose it, what does that have to do with you? I'm under Teacher Mountain Passenger's orders to retrieve the armor, you just have to give it to me. What's the point of all this nonsense? Even though he was raging, Luo Feng could only suppress it. The Flame Emperor smiled and looked at Luo Feng. Junior, train well and quickly step into the Universe Knight level, that way you can use the armor. 2nd Senior Brother. Luo Feng smiled too. You don't have the armor, even though you were chased by countless warriors of the universe before, you were still able to survive. If you have the armor, naturally your strength will rise greatly, and you won't die so easily. 2nd Senior Brother, you don't have to worry about me, just give me the armor. Double quote. Don't leave it to luck. The Flame Emperor roared fiercely, his voice shaking Luo Feng's soul. The tribulation armor is a supreme treasure that even the masters of the universe yearn for. How could you have such wishful thinking? The Flame Emperor stared at Luo Feng, his aura emanating, causing Luo Feng to feel like an endless mountain was pressing down on him. Even though this armor is yours, it's still something Teacher Mountain Passenger paid a huge price to craft. You have to guarantee that it won't be lost. I'm doing this for your own good. Train well. Once you reach the Universe Knight level, I'll naturally give it to you. The Flame Emperor's voice rumbled, stirring Luo Feng's soul. However, Luo Feng's willpower was extremely strong, even without the protection of the pearl. His willpower and consciousness was still at the level of a Universe Lord, and the Flame Emperor was after all just a powerful Universe Lord that specialized in close combat, and just relying on his voice to make a Universe Lord change his mind was obviously far from enough. Second Senior, are you not going to give me the armor? Luo Feng stared at the Flame Emperor. HMPH. The Flame Emperor's rage immediately surged. In an instant the entire palace was filled with waves of rage. That pressure pressed down on Luo Feng. The Flame Emperor's solemn voice resounded. Third Junior, I'm under Teacher Mountain Passenger's orders to protect the armor for you for 1,000,000,000 years. I'll give it to you when you're strong enough. Right now, even though you can use it, your strength is still very weak. I'm thinking for your own good. If you lose it, wouldn't I disappoint Teacher Mountain Passenger? Double quote. That won't be necessary. Luo Feng wasn't moved at all. If I lose the armor, I'll explain it to Teacher Mountain Guest. Explain? How are you going to explain it? Shouted the Flare Emperor. That has nothing to do with Senior. Luo Feng replied stiffly. You've really become arrogant just because you have some achievements. The Flare Emperor shook his head. Luo Feng looked at the Flare Emperor, his voice calm. Second Senior, let's not talk too much. I'm here today to retrieve the armor. Are you going to give it to me or not? You're not strong enough. The Flare Emperor said. Since Second Senior brother doesn't want to give it to me, and I don't have the ability to take it by force, then I can only report it to Teacher Mountain Passenger. If Teacher Mountain Passenger feels that the Calamity armor should remain in Second Senior's hands, then I naturally won't come and disturb Second Senior. Luo Feng slightly bowed. I'll be leaving first. No need to send me off. Double quote. Luo Feng turned and left. The Flare Emperor's expression changed. From the beginning to the end, he didn't dare to directly say no. He always wanted Luo Feng to back off. If Luo Feng really did back off, then the Flare Emperor believed that with Mountain Passenger's personality, he wouldn't interfere. After all, Luo Feng was the one who gave up on the armor. This matter, no matter what, he, the Flare Emperor, couldn't just not give it to him. That would be going against Mountain Passenger's orders. Third Junior, shouted the Flare Emperor. Luo Feng didn't stop, flying straight out. Stop. The Flare Emperor shouted softly. The surrounding space shook. Luo Feng felt the scene before him change and he was back in the palace. Luo Feng looked at the Flare Emperor. Why are you forcefully stopping me? I still have to go see Teacher Mountain Passenger. When did I say I wouldn't give you the armor? I only said that you're still very weak. The Flare Emperor frowned. Since you insist on taking it, then as your senior, I've said all that needs to be said and warned you. If you don't listen to me, there's nothing I can do. If you lose the armor in the future, don't blame me. Double quote. This is the armor. The Flare Emperor flipped his hand and a translucent armor that looked like it was carved out of a huge diamond appeared in his palm. The translucent armor had engravings on it, sometimes visible and sometimes hidden. The entire armor in his palm was like an unreachable god mountain pressing down on his heart, causing Luo Feng to hold his breath. Luo Feng stared at the armor, unable to contain his excitement. Armor. This was the armor. It had produced large amounts of armors, general armors, emperor armors. It was an absolute treasure that Mountain Passenger had prepared for his third disciple. Even the pinnacle of Universe Lords, the Flare Emperor, couldn't bear to part with this armor. After all, over the years, he hadn't been able to rely on himself to obtain a treasure that could compare to the armor and Flame God Halberd. Still not taking it? The Flare Emperor said. Luo Feng immediately extended his hand. His god energy was like silk, wrapping around the armor. A thread of god energy drilled into the armor, imprinting his life within. Simultaneously, the armor immediately sent an ancient message into Luo Feng's consciousness. Su. Luo Feng flipped his hand and kept the armor in his world ring. Second Senior, I'll be leaving first. If there's a chance in the future, I'll come see you again. Luo Feng smiled. I'm here. Third Junior, you can come anytime. The Flare Emperor said. Luo Feng turned and stepped forward, swiftly leaving the main palace. After a while, he followed the endless flames of the palace and left. As the palace was completely isolated from the space ripples of the outside world, there was no way to teleport out from within. Probably only the master of the palace, the Flare Emperor, could teleport out. So, the moment he left the palace, Luo Feng immediately teleported and swiftly left. Using the God Country teleportation of the slaves, he swiftly left the Flame God race territory. Dart. The Flare Emperor stood outside the main palace, leaning on the railing and gazing through space, watching Luo Feng leave through the God Country teleportation. HMPH. Third Junior, the Flare Emperor said softly. Powerful, the life and death inheritance. The previous two geniuses all died, yet he actually succeeded. Even though he said Luo Feng was lucky before, the Flare Emperor was very clear. The sitting mountain guest had cast a wide net when choosing a disciple. There were countless life forms on Earth, and in trillions of years, only Luo Feng had succeeded. This wasn't just because the sitting mountain guest nurtured him, it was also because Luo Feng himself was very outstanding. The Flare Emperor had experienced many trials and tribulations back then, and he was very clear that the sitting mountain guest didn't set him too hard. The life and death inheritance that his third junior encountered was truly terrifying. The armor was eventually taken by him. The Flare Emperor gradually calmed down. Even though he was wary of Luo Feng, he didn't put him to heart. After all, even if Luo Feng became a universe lord and had a star pagoda, he would at most be one of the most terrifying beings amongst the universe lords. He could suppress him, but not kill him. Unless Luo Feng became the strongest in the universe. How rare are the strongest in the universe? A race with the strongest in the universe is the pinnacle of races. A power with the strongest in the universe is the pinnacle of the universe. The Flare Emperor sighed. They are able to reverse space-time and revive the hegemons of the universe, and they are able to easily resist the backlash of the universe. Their abilities are incomparably heaven-defying. Wherever they go, they control the heavens and earth. Their words are law, and even the laws of the universe have to temporarily retreat. Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest is one of them. Becoming the strongest, only then will I be the true ruler. The Flare Emperor's eyes were filled with desire. He had an intense unyielding ambition, and because of this ambition, he was able to raise his strength rapidly. Even though he had the Sitting Mountain Guest to nurture him, in terms of training, he had to rely on himself to comprehend and break through. He was currently already at the pinnacle of the universe lords. As long as he took one more step, he would reach the highest position, and that would be the strongest in the universe. What was the strongest? Just the three words the strongest represented the most fundamental meaning, and that was the absolute strongest. Wanting to lead a power, one would be able to dominate a region of the universe. Wanting to be alone, the rest of the universe wouldn't dare provoke them. Wanting to recruit geniuses, one could rush to other races to snatch them, and no one would dare stop them. This was the strongest in the universe. Just one more step, Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest, and I will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Only this last step. The Flare Emperor immediately turned and returned to the main palace. Dart. Human territory, Ganwu Universe Country, in space. Moshe Luo Feng walked out of a deep hole on a normal desolate planet. This place is about 3,300 light years away from my god country. The Moshe clansman took a step forward. So, he was already 1,000 light years away. In terms of compatibility with space, the Moshe clansman was actually stronger than the universe paragons. After absorbing the essence of a space heart and transforming it into a special life form, the Moshe clansman's compatibility with space had reached an extremely high level. It even had the innate ability domain. Back then, he could teleport over 100 light years in one go. And after reaching undying, be it God's strength, consciousness etc., his senses were much stronger. His teleportation distance was no less than a night's. So. With 3 teleportations, he tore through space and entered a space crevice, and with another teleportation, he arrived in his god country. Dart. The god country was boundless, and the endless dark ocean was also slowly expanding. In the air above the endless dark ocean, Within the shrine that was glowing with a glaring gold light, Luo Feng, who had teleported, walked out. With a step, he stood on the surface of the endless dark ocean. Calamity armor. On the surface of Luo Feng's godly body, there was a layer of transparent armor. The armor and the godly body were one. It was as though every tiny part of the armor had completely fused with every cell in Luo Feng's body. An endless amount of energy filled Luo Feng's godly body. This energy was boundless and unparalleled. Luo Feng closed his eyes and immersed himself in its power. Indeed, a treasure that teacher mountain traveler specially prepared for me. Luo Feng sighed softly. Back at the Flare Emperor's place, he had already received news of the armor. The Calamity armor was a very special armor. It was different from the other treasures. Normal treasures relied on origin law comprehension to activate them. And this armor had nothing to do with origin law comprehension. Instead, it relied on the strength of the body. Just like the soldier armor, general armor and emperor armor, it had extremely high requirements for the body. This armor was the same. The stronger the body, the more power the armor could unleash. Rumble. A huge silhouette suddenly appeared in the distant sky. It was the golden horned beast. Let's try this armor. Luo Feng smiled. So. A crystal armor separated from Luo Feng's body and became a beam of light, flying straight into the golden horned beast and entering its body. Peace. 2 chapters completed. Next Monday, requesting recommendation votes. We need to maintain our first position on the recommendation board. Chapter 1055 Swallowed Star. Luo Feng received the armor and completely felt its power. Only then did his consciousness connect to the virtual universe, preparing to inform his teacher Tru Yan that he was heading to the primal star. Dart. Virtual universe. Thunder Island's mountainside was almost boundless. Before Tru Yan's palace, there were 6 silhouettes sitting there, drinking and chatting. According to legend, a magnificent divine temple suddenly rose up on a vast plain on one of the primitive stars. There was an ancient stone tablet in front of the divine temple, and detailed information about a top-notch treasure was recorded on the stone tablet. With this treasure, one would be able to escape and shake off the enemy, and in battle, one would be able to easily shatter layers of space. It was absolutely a first-rate treasure for escaping and attacking. This top-notch treasure was called the Heavenly Guild Sail. A muscular man with a triangular head grabbed a strange wine flask and gulped down large mouthfuls of it. He clicked his tongue and sighed. Immediately, 3 universe lords, 18 universe overlords, and over 100 universe supremacies rushed into this temple. Soon, the temple closed. 6 years later, the temple opened again, but only half survived. It said that the Heavenly Gilded Sail was eventually taken by the Universe Lord of the Northern Border Alliance. Is that true? Yi Zhao Knight, don't brag like last time. Yi Zhao Knight, how come we don't know about this? The other 5 knights including Tru Yan laughed beside him. Yi Zhao Knight stared, his eyes wide open. Brag? I didn't brag the last time either. Double quote. But what you said last time was the story of the opening of the primal star. A werewolf knight covered in green fur mocked. The Heavenly Guild Sail I was talking about was the top treasure that appeared during the opening of the primal star. Yi Zhao Knight stared. I've made countless friends. Many of them have returned from the primal star and told me all sorts of stories. I only found out about the Heavenly Guild Sail today and immediately told you all. You even said I was bragging. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. In a few years, when the news of the Heavenly Guild Sail spreads, you all will know. Don't be angry, Yi Zhao Knight. Tell us more about the appearance of this top treasure. Tell us more. I'll prepare some wine for you. The other venerables laughed and said. Only then did Honorable Ying Zhao feel pleased with himself. He gulped down all the wine in the flagon, then handed it over and said, fill it up. You're being too greedy. These supreme treasures are so valuable that even the masters of the universe would go crazy over them. Supremacy Gui Zhao shook his head and sighed. The primal star has only been open for a little over 100 years. How could there be so many stories of supreme treasures? If a few more supreme treasures appear, I'm afraid some of the universe lords will fall. Double quote. Hey, look. Isn't that the Blade River Emperor Luo Feng? Zhen Yan, your disciple is here. These knights looked at the distant silhouette flying over. It was Luo Feng. I heard that your disciple was chased by countless foreign experts in the Flame God race's territory over 100 years ago, but he was fine. Zhen Yan, at least your disciple's escape methods are better than yours. Double quote. Of course you're stronger than me. Zhen Yan smiled. He is the future pillar of the human race. Of course, he has powerful life-saving means. During the conversation, Luo Feng had already flown over. Teacher. Luo Feng smiled. Luo Feng, come, sit. Zhen Yan pointed to a seat beside him. Luo Feng smiled and sat. He looked at the other knights and smiled. Everyone is here. We don't dare go to the Primal Star's opening. But we should at least listen to the news and learn more about it. An old man with long fur all over his body that looked like a lion smiled. Right, Blade River Emperor, I heard you wanted to go to the Primal Star. Why haven't you gone yet? Double quote. The moment one entered the Primal Star, there was no way to connect to the virtual universe. How do you know Blade River Emperor hasn't gone yet? He has his talent in cloning techniques. Maybe he left one in our human territory. Naturally he can enter the virtual universe anytime. Supremacy GUI Zhao stared. That makes sense. Supremacy GUI Zhao is right. The others all laughed and looked at Luo Feng. Blade River Emperor, have you gone to the Primal Star yet? Not yet. Luo Feng smiled. However, I'll be there soon. I'm here to tell my teacher that I'm about to enter the Primal Star. Immediately, Venerable Tru Yan was slightly surprised. Blade River Emperor, who are you going with? Don't tell me you're going alone. The Wolfman Knight said. Luo Feng nodded. I'll go in alone. That's too dangerous. Even the high-level knights of the universe have fallen. Blade River Emperor, it's best you work with the other warriors. They all advised. Luo Feng smiled. No problem, I'll gain some experience. I have some detailed information about the Primal Star. It's all about the things that have happened over these 100 years. Supremacy GUI Zhao's bronze bell-like eyes looked at Luo Feng. I like to make friends and gather information. The amount of information I have, even if I don't dare say I'm number one, I'm definitely in the top 3. When I return, I'll send you a copy of the information. Take a good look at it before you enter. You'll have a better understanding of the situation on the Primal Star. Double quote. Luo Feng was overjoyed within. Thank you, Supremacy GUI Zhao. Supremacy GUI Zhao indeed has a lot of information. Tru Yan smiled and nodded. However, Blade River Emperor. Supremacy GUI Zhao stared. The more I gather, the more I feel that the danger within the Primal Star is completely random. Before, it's incomparably calm. Who knows, treasures might suddenly appear. That commotion would immediately attract the absolute warriors, and the weak would immediately be annihilated. From what I see, with your strength entering, along with the treasures you have, you'll attract the jealousy of the other races. I'm afraid your chances of surviving won't exceed 10%. Double quote. 10%? It can't be. Luo Feng has the natural talent domain. It won't exceed 10%? The other knights all shook their heads. Before, Luo Feng had escaped from the pursuit of large numbers of the other races. His name had spread far and wide. Luo Feng was stunned. That low? Is it because of the Universe Lords? Luo Feng frowned. The Universe Lords are strong. This time, the Primal Star has gathered more than half of the Universe Lords. However, it's after all scattered across the 10,081 Primal Stars. The total number of Universe Lords is very small. Most of the Primal Stars don't even have a Universe Lord. The chances of meeting a Universe Lord is still very low. Double quote. I said your chances of surviving are low. It's not because of the Universe Lord. It's because of the environment of the Primal Star. Venerable GUI Zhao said, every primeval star is only so big, yet so many high-level venerables and universe hegemons of the universe are gathered there. The moment you are discovered, Those foreign race experts will immediately target your innate ability, domain, making it impossible for you to escape before killing you. Luo Feng nodded. Yes. Once a trump card is revealed, it's no longer a trump card. Even though the domain technique was heaven-defying, it wasn't invincible. As long as a few overlords prepared and worked together, it wouldn't be hard to break it. Even some overlords with heaven-defying methods could break it by themselves. Hence it's best you have a partner. The knight said. They complement each other. If you meet any danger, you can rely on your natural talent domain to escape. And if there's danger, you'll have to rely on your partner to get through it. Double quote. Thank you, Knight Yui. Luo Feng smiled. I'll send the information to you now. The knight said. Immediately Luo Feng received a mail. Within the mail was a huge amount of detailed information. There were words, pictures, videos etc. It was all related to the opening of the Primal Star over 100 years ago. Luo Feng sighed within. Luckily he already had the armor. With the armor, it's like I'm wearing a castle. Luo Feng thought, along with the Moshe clan's transformation and energy duplication methods, who would recognize me as Blade River Emperor Luo Feng? Before in the God Country, his earth body and the golden horned beast had both tried the armor and felt its power. It was exactly the same as when he first recognized the armor as its owner. This made Luo Feng exclaim. The armor was indeed an absolute treasure. No wonder even a being like Flame Emperor had to resort to such despicable methods. After all, the armor was indeed heaven-defying. Luo Feng estimated that it was even more heaven-defying than Qian Bao. The armor was made by the Mountain Guest. It was a very special treasure armor, different from the other treasures Luo Feng knew of. Like the Killer Wu Wings, Golden Zhenhe armor, Ancient Ship Milky Way, these all required extremely high comprehension of the origin laws to be used. Like Luo Feng, he could only use the second form of the Killer Wu Wings and Golden Zhenhe armor. The Ancient Ship Milky Way hadn't even reached its limit yet. However, the armor was completely different. Soldier armor, general armor, emperor armor, it had nothing to do with origin law comprehension, it had to do with one's body strength. The armor was the same. It had to do with one's body strength. If one's body wasn't strong enough, it didn't matter how high one's origin law comprehension was. If one's body was strong enough, even if one's origin law comprehension was extremely low, it wouldn't matter. The armor was split into 3 forms. The first form required 100 million Sector Lord's strength to activate. After activating, it could block and weaken physical attacks to 1,1000 of its original strength. Soul attacks to 1/10 of its original strength. And it gave the user 1 billion Sector Lord's strength. The second form required 100 billion Sector Lord's strength to activate. After activating, it could weaken physical attacks to 1,000 of its original strength. Soul attacks to 1/10 of its original strength. And it gave the user a trillion Sector Lord's strength. The third form required 100 trillion Sector Lord's strength to activate. After activating, it could weaken physical attacks to 1/100 of its original strength. Soul attacks to 1/10 of its original strength. And it gave the user a trillion Sector Lord's strength. This was an extremely heaven-defying defense treasure. A Universe Lord, the moment he ignited his body to activate it, he could activate the third form. Relying on it, he could completely block other Universe Lords' absolute treasures and material attacks. In terms of material attacks, there was practically no threat. Unless one met an even more heaven-defying attack treasure, like an absolute treasure. If such an absolute treasure were to appear on the Primal Star, it would be enough to cause many Universe Lords to fight it out. Hence, it was normal for 1 or 2 Universe Lords to fall. Chapter 1056 Swallowed Star. Thunder Island, within Luo Feng's palace. Within a quiet study, Luo Feng carefully flipped through the information regarding the Primal Star, nodding to himself. Powerful. This means Zhao Knight's information is indeed detailed. My plan will work. It's really dangerous. It's completely a place of the strong. Luo Feng couldn't help but exclaim softly, my other 3 bodies have already reached the primal star pathway. Dart. About 10 billion light-years away from the human domain, there were no planets in this part of the sky. Only a few storms of electromagnetic fluid could be seen. A 12-meter tall silhouette stood in space. He had a pair of silver horns, purple eyes, his entire body covered in a layer of gray scales. Simultaneously he had a scorpion tail, emitting a bloodthirsty and tyrannical energy. On his shoulder sat a 1-meter-long beast. This beast had 2 wings, 5 golden horns on its head, 4 thick hooves and a tail that waved about like a lizard. If one was knowledgeable, very quickly, one would be able to recognize that the human-like form, curved horns, gray scales, scorpion tail, was the space beast Purple Chrysalis. There were many different forms of beasts. Some were human-like. The Purple Chrysalis was one of them. The Purple Chrysalis were famous for their bloodthirsty nature. Of course, most of the space beasts were extremely bloodthirsty. Many warriors would be able to recognize the 1-meter-long beast on the Purple Chrysalis shoulder. It was one of the 12 pinnacle bloodlines of the space beasts, the Golden Horned Beast. Haha, I'm afraid even teacher wouldn't be able to recognize me if he met me. Luo Feng smiled. The Moshe clansman, transforming into the Purple Chrysalis form, its energy is copied into nothingness. There's no energy at all. Luo Feng caressed the golden horned beast on his shoulder. The Moshe clansman is hidden in the world ring within its body, hiding the ocean clone. Its energy is completely released through the world ring. Luo Feng smiled. If other warriors saw the Moshe clansman, they would only feel a bloodthirsty and ferocious energy. This energy was vast and powerful. It was definitely at the level of a powerful universe knight. Dart. The energy was related to the divine body. The stronger the divine body, the stronger the energy. Just like some universe overlords, the reason why they became universe overlords was because their comprehension of the laws was higher and they created stronger techniques. Just the surface aura alone was not much different from some universe supremacies. Hence, if an unfamiliar universe overlord didn't actively reveal his strength, it would be impossible to determine that he was a universe overlord. Luo Feng's ocean clone had a body with 100 million sector lord strength. Along with its huge body, the energy it emitted was extremely strong. It definitely belonged to the stronger level of a knight. Of course. The aura of the golden horned beast was even stronger. The current 1-meter-long golden horned beast was in fact the form of deities of the world and beast god transformation, of which deities of the world was created during the 80,000 years when Luo Feng was creating his ultimate technique. He had bought large amounts of precious materials to train in. After all, the value of a sector lord level cultivator was relatively low. Secondly, Luo Feng's status was extremely high back then, and he had many treasures on him. Selling any one of them would be able to exchange for many precious materials. Naturally, he easily trained deities of the world to the pinnacle of perfection, a full 36x amplifier. Once he mastered deity of the world, his body would be able to reach a length of 100,000 kilometers and a length of 1 meter. It wouldn't affect his strength at all. Deities of the world's amplifier of 36x. Beast God Transformation's third level amplifier of 8x. These two combined, there was a certain amount of overlap. However, it only allowed the golden horned beast's body to reach 45x. If it were to use its natural talent strengthening, it could easily reach 90x. Dart. My Moshe clansman's energy is equivalent to a higher level of a universe knight. And the golden horned beast's energy is much stronger. Luo Feng thought. Luo Feng looked at the golden horned beast on his shoulder. The golden horned beast looked over too. The two exchanged glances. Haha. Anyone who sees us would probably think we're the two warriors of the Space Beast Alliance. Luo Feng smiled. The universe's 9 great powers were the 6 great races: Ancestral God Sect, Northern Border Alliance and Space Beast Alliance. The ones that fought the most were the 6 great races and the Northern Border Alliance. And the Ancestral God Sect and the Space Beast Alliance were more special. Firstly, the Ancestral God Sect didn't fight for territory or the world. As for the Space Beast Alliance, they were even more rare. Normal space beasts were extremely rare. Even the location of the Space Beast Alliance's base was one of the universe's biggest secrets. Even though there were occasionally special places like the Primal Star, where some treasures were born, and occasionally the Space Beast Alliance's warriors would appear, they still didn't know where the base of the Space Beast Alliance was. A very special power. Similarly, they didn't fight for territory. Their race's space beasts were scattered all over the universe. My human identity is famous throughout the universe. The moment I appear on the Primal Star, I'll probably be treated as a moving treasure trove. I'll definitely be ambushed and killed, or even be surrounded by different races. Luo Feng looked at his gray-scaled armor. Right now, if I go out with this identity, I won't be conspicuous. I won't be ambushed and killed. The Primal Star was after all a gathering of the strong from the different races. They were usually wary of each other. Without a guarantee, without enough temptation, they wouldn't easily act. Blade River Emperor Luo Feng was an extreme temptation. And the two Space Beast warriors were definitely not to be trifled with. Dart. Luo Feng looked ahead. Within the electromagnetic energy storm, there was a huge whirlpool. The diameter of the whirlpool was about 10 billion km. It emitted an endless glaring rainbow light, causing the surrounding space to warp and distort. Just the pressure from this whirlpool alone was enough to crush a normal Undying into nothing. Primal Star Passage. Luo Feng said softly. Su. On his shoulder lay the cute little golden horned beast. With a step, he entered the beautiful passage. As he flew in, the pressure got stronger and stronger. Rumble. The pressure caused the space to warp and rumble. Luo Feng immediately vanished into the depths of the passage. A tall evil silhouette flew out of the glaring whirlpool. That bloody aura made one's heart tremble. There was also an even more tyrannical and cold aura. These two auras were emitted from the tall silhouette and the cute little beast. This is the Primal Star. Luo Feng stood in midair and looked into the distance. Behind him was the whirlpool passage, and it was in midair. Vast and boundless. Luo Feng stood in midair, feeling the endless pressure on his body. This terrifying pressure far exceeded Neutron Star, and also far exceeded the pressure he felt in King Fu Cao's ice prison back then. Luo Feng slowly descended, stepping on the forest filled with fallen leaves. There were a total of 10,081 primal stars, every one of them were the same size, with a diameter of about 100 billion km. The space ripples on the entire primal star had completely stopped, and that powerful pressure was enough to make normal Undyings disappear. This pressure caused the space to tremble, making it impossible to teleport from God Country. Unable to teleport. Unable to teleport from God Country. With a diameter of 100 billion km, to an absolute warrior, it didn't seem big. However, one had to know, under such terrifying pressure, even though Luo Feng and the others could accelerate to near light speed, it would still take a long time. Sudden changes in direction, speed and movement would obviously be much slower than the outside world. This extreme pressure. It was almost like a huge domain treasure unleashed its domain. Dart. The pressure is huge. My Moshe clansman has a 100 times life genetic level, reaching 10 million times Sector Lord strength. I didn't expect it to be so tough to even walk on the primal star. Luo Feng walked carefully, the golden horned beast on his shoulder. In an instant, he walked out of the forest and reached the foot of the mountain. In the distance was the vast wilderness. Luo Feng walked forward, simultaneously feeling the energy. According to the information from Ming Zhao Knight, feeling the energy on the primal star was a method many warriors chose to search for treasures. After a while. Rumble. An energy ripple traveled a long distance and reached Luo Feng. It's there. Luo Feng turned fiercely and looked into the distance. Rumble. Luo Feng immediately became a beam of light and his speed soared. However, as he went faster, the resistance grew stronger. The Moshe clansman's 10 million times Sector Lord strength was obviously unable to take it. What a heavy pressure, burning my god energy. Luo Feng even began to burn his god energy. Under the powerful energy, his speed immediately soared and quickly reached sublight speed, flying into the distance. Below was the endless wilderness. Luo Feng continued to fly. Soon, he saw the figures of 5 experts fighting on the hills in the distance. Luo Feng swiftly landed. 5 Universe Knights. Luo Feng glanced over. One of them was obviously from the demon race. Their bodies were huge and their auras filled the skies. The other was a mix of races, allowing Luo Feng to swiftly judge. One side is the demon race, the other seems to be from the 9 Territories Alliance. The universe's 9 great superpowers and 12 great powers. The 12 great powers, in terms of race numbers and number of knights, they might not be weaker than the Human Alliance or the Demon Alliance. It was just that they didn't have the strongest in the universe. There's still 6 strong squads watching. Luo Feng glanced over. Obviously the battle here had attracted many other races. Other than his wave, there were 6 other waves. It was just that everyone watched from afar and didn't interfere. Dart. Prison Clan Alliance, Crystal Clan Alliance, Thorn Ring Alliance, and the Space Beast Alliance's warriors. It's just 3 treasures. We've already gotten 2. Let's go. We'll temporarily let the 3 from the 9 Territories Alliance go. A huge 3-headed beast communicated. Space Beast Alliance. Another huge tortoise-shell demon looked over at Luo Feng. Let's go. The demon race and the Space Beast Alliance had quite a bit of history. The demon race had always thought the space beasts were a part of the demon race. The 2 demon race universe venerables instantly turned into streams of light and quickly flew away. The 3 9 Territories Alliance universe venerables also looked around and quickly flew away. Chapter 1057 Swallowed Star. The demon and 9 territories warriors that were fighting left, and the 7 waves of warriors that were attracted by the commotion naturally looked at each other from afar, after which they dispersed and left. It's the same as what Zhao Yuan Knight's information said. Luo Feng flew slowly above the wasteland. The golden horned beast obediently sat on his shoulder. The warriors of the primal star are all very cautious. Without enough treasure to attract them, or with 100% confidence, they won't easily make a move. Earlier when the demon and 9 territories were fighting, there wasn't any treasure energy at all. I reckon there were only a few treasures. Double quote. Treasures. If their energy was concealed, just from the looks of it, it was hard to tell if they were treasures or not. However, the primal star was different. The primal star was a treasure planet, with many treasures. The appearance of treasures didn't cause much of a commotion. Some of the top treasures might cause a little commotion, but the appearance of treasures would definitely cause a commotion. The bigger the commotion, the higher the level of the treasure. There were even palaces that would specially appear from underground, and within those palaces were treasures etc. In one sentence. The bigger the commotion, the higher the level of treasure. Dart. Luo Feng glanced at the distant space whirlpool. Another whirlpool passage. I wonder which primal star this passage leads to. According to the information, 10,081 primal stars. Every primal star had a total of 10,081 whirlpool tunnels in midair. One of them was the exit. Luo Feng came through the whirlpool tunnel exit. The other 10,080 passages led to the other 10,080 primal stars. The warriors searching for treasures in the primal star wouldn't foolishly run around. They would all guard one place and wait, sensing the energy. The moment there's any special commotion, they would immediately rush over. Luo Feng decided to follow the ancient experiences of the primal stars. Immediately rushing down, Luo Feng flew into a short ancient forest. This mountain was about 1,000 kilometers tall, taller than any mountain on Earth. However, it was considered a short mountain on the primal star. There were many ancient trees and flowers growing on it. It was beautiful. Stepping on the fallen leaves, Luo Feng walked slowly. The pressure on the primal star is huge. Weaker undyings would perish, but these trees, flowers and mountains are perfectly fine. Luo Feng looked at the short and sturdy tree that was at least 30 meters thick. Without a doubt, these branches, flowers etc. can all be used to create normal undying weapons. They are definitely valuable materials. Luo Feng understood this, but he wouldn't take it. Because there were pioneers in history who had done this before. Peng. Luo Feng kicked the trunk of the tree. With a strong god force, he felt as though the entire tree was one with the land. With this kick, his entire body was knocked flying, crashing into the distant flowers and grass, crushing many of them before standing up. It's true, the plants here are one with the primordial star. Also, according to the information, flowers and trees are very difficult to damage. Even if a super expert damages the flowers and trees, they will regrow and grow back to their original state. Luo Feng first used his god energy to isolate the surroundings, following which his god energy ignited in his right leg, his power exploding. With a rumble, he fiercely stomped on the ground, causing large amounts of soil to fly everywhere, immediately creating a hole. Luo Feng stood at the side and watched quietly. After a while, the soil that was scattered in the surroundings disappeared into thin air, and the pit from before was filled up, returning to its original state. It's indeed like that. Luo Feng exclaimed within, what a mysterious primordial star. On the primordial star, anything that seemed to be one with the primordial star, like the soil, flowers, trees etc., even though they could be taken away by force, they would quickly return to their original positions on the primordial star. Everything was destined to be useless. Only items that weren't one with the primordial star, like some treasures that had been born etc., could be taken away. Dart. Feeling the wonders of the primordial star, Luo Feng strolled in the forest, observing everything within. Kai. Luo Feng kicked a hard object. With his god energy, normal rocks would be kicked away, and the soil would be flattened. Luo Feng looked down. A silver-white horn emerged from the ground. On it there was still a lot of soil. Luo Feng carefully felt it. That silver-white horn was not normal. Luo Feng blinked. My luck can't be that good. Luo Feng muttered within. There were many treasures on the primordial star. Some of them didn't cause any commotion when they were born. Hence they could appear in rivers, in the soil etc. To be able to step on treasures while walking. This had happened many times in history. Stepping on treasures while walking? Luo Feng squatted down, his right hand landing on the horn, his sharp nails grabbing it tightly. His god energy was like threads wrapping around the horn. Hua. He used force. Like plucking a carrot, the soil fell off and a half-a-meter tall silver cube was plucked out by Luo Feng. With a sweep of his god energy, the soil fell off and an exquisite silver cube with ancient origin lore engravings was revealed. The energy was faint. Obviously it was a treasure. Ha 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 ha. No wonder back then when the Nine-Blade Knight borrowed treasures from me, he was willing to give me 10 treasures as a reward. Luo Feng was all smiles. On the primordial star, there are so many treasures, I can even step on one while walking. Stepping on treasures while walking, that was considered lucky. However, there were indeed many treasures on the primordial star. As long as one stayed on the primordial star long enough, getting 10 to 100 treasures wasn't hard. One could totally exchange for a full set of treasures. And these treasures could be disassembled too. The materials that could be disassembled were hard to find normally. After disassembling large amounts of treasures, using countless precious materials, gathering them together, there was definitely hope of creating a normal treasure. Being able to refine ordinary supreme treasures was already very difficult. After all, to refine supreme treasures such as Tribulation Armor, Origin Soul, and Flame God Halberd, perhaps only Mountain Guest, who refined treasures alone in the universe, could do it. Dart. Luo Feng's life imprint was imprinted on the cube. Immediately the treasure became his. Information was transmitted over. The silver cube swiftly shrunk, becoming the size of a peach, almost like a Rubik's Cube. Ha, it's actually a sealing treasure, with a sealed space within. It's not any weaker than a sealing star. Luo Feng nodded satisfactorily. To get a treasure on the first day of coming to Primordial Star, if I could get one every day, staying here for hundreds or thousands of years, how many treasures would I get? Haha. Luo Feng knew it was impossible, however the feeling of stepping on treasures while walking was very satisfying. Luo Feng walked for half a day in the forest. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to step on another treasure. After which, he randomly found a place and sat cross-legged on a fallen leaf, waiting silently. Time passed, The primordial star's opening lasted for a total of 1000 eras. It was destined that the chances of treasures appearing were very small, only appearing once in a long while. Sets of treasures and normal treasures became the most commonly fought over. The common ones here required a bit of luck. Like Luo Feng, he had been on Primordial Star for 2 years, yet he hadn't even seen a single set of treasures. Even though he had felt the energy of the treasures 3 times, even though the energy was weak, how strong were the warrior's senses? Luo Feng was further away, those 3 times when the treasures appeared. By the time he rushed over, the fight for the treasures had long ended. Luck. I didn't even get a single set of treasures. It's been 2 years and I've only gotten 2 treasures. How pitiful. Luo Feng stood at the peak of the ancient forest, gazing into the distance. 2 years to get 2 treasures, this efficiency was considered average. After all, on Primordial Star, one was risking one's life. Just like how Luo Feng was currently disguised as a warrior of the Space Beast Alliance, as the Space Beast Alliance was very mysterious. Hence, the other races normally wouldn't come and mess with the Space Beast Alliance warriors. In these 2 years, Luo Feng and the Golden Horned Beast on his shoulder had long since become famous. At least many of the warriors recognized and remembered them. The Human Race Alliance, Demon Alliance, Automaton Alliance and Bug Clan Alliance, their battles are really vicious. Luo Feng muttered, with just a little reason, the battle could erupt. These 4 great races were adjacent to each other. With the accumulation of hatred, the battles on Primordial Star were also vicious. Luo Feng's life was too short. Even though he had experienced the Bug Clan spy blowing up a planet and the other races sending Swamp Corrosion Knight to assassinate him, from an emotional point of view, even though he hated them, his hatred towards the Bug Clan, Demon Clan and Automaton Clan wasn't that intense to the point of insanity. The truly long-lived human warriors however were different. They had lived for too long, and had too many grudges with these 3 great races, fighting over and over again, accumulating hatred over and over again. The hatred was huge. I've been here for 2 years, yet I've never fought a single battle. Luo Feng exclaimed within. Just as Luo Feng was exclaiming, a special energy emanated. The experienced Luo Feng was stunned, immediately reacting, it's a set treasure, or even a normal treasure. And, this energy seems to be very close. Luo Feng was excited. The previous 3 times he hadn't even touched the treasure, this time he was finally close. Su. Luo Feng's Moshe clansman immediately ignited his god energy, his speed exploding. Rumble. He immediately flew towards the source of the energy. Dart. The energy is quite strong. It's a set treasure, it could even be a treasure. A giant man of the prison clan, who was more than 10 kilometers tall and had golden flames all over his body, and 2 universe venerables, who were more than 100 meters tall and had 12 pairs of black wings and were covered in black scales, flew over together. Dart. The energy of a treasure being born. Dart. It's a treasure. The 6 teams in the surrounding area quickly rushed over. As the aura spread out, some of the other race universe venerate teams that were far away also quickly flew over in twos. Chapter 1058 Swallowed Star. Luo Feng swiftly headed towards the energy. The energy is quite strong. Luo Feng was shocked and happy that the energy was so strong. It was at least a top-grade treasure. The chances of even a normal treasure appearing was extremely high. Shocked. This energy, even if he could get the treasure immediately, it would still cause a battle. Looks like my first battle since coming to Primal Star is about to begin. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Xiu. A silhouette suddenly appeared beside the Moshe clansman. It was the Yuhei clone. The Yuhei clone shrunk from over 9,000 kilometers tall to 9 meters tall, simultaneously transforming into the purple chrysalis beast form, similar to a human. Curved horns, gray scales, scorpion tail. And the Moshe clansman immediately entered the world ring. Battle formation. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed with fighting spirit. In Luo Feng's plan, ever since he acquired the Calamity armor, along with the Golden Horned Beast's huge body, it could be said that killing the Golden Horned Beast had become extremely difficult. One had to know that even the Yuhei clone self-destruction couldn't kill Pei Feng Knight. In terms of body strength and amplitude, the Golden Horned Beast was no different from Pei Feng Knight. In terms of size, the Golden Horned Beast was countless times bigger than Pei Feng Knight. And the Calamity armor could similarly weaken material attacks by 1/10,000. With the Calamity armor, the Golden Horned Beast can't be killed or smashed. Luo Feng thought, and the Golden Horned Beast's body is so strong, its size is huge too. The Yuhei clone's God energy storage is comparable to it. There's no need to use it as a God energy storage. Shoo. Shoo. Yuhei swiftly flew through the air, the Golden Horned Beast on his shoulder. Dart. Flying past the forest, flying above the wasteland, he quickly arrived above a swamp. It's there. Luo Feng swiftly felt the energy source and immediately rushed over. It was a swamp. In the dirty, pitch-black swamp water, a black sword hilt about the size of a mountain was slowly floating up. At the same time, it was releasing its aura in all directions. Just one? Luo Feng rushed down, seeing the black hilt the size of a mountain slowly floating. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. It's a treasure. If there were a few, it would be a treasure set. However, from the looks of it, just one was definitely a treasure. And I'm the first. Luo Feng swiftly rushed towards the black hilt. At this time, in the air in another direction, a towering man whose entire body was made of countless rocks and was over 10 kilometers long, covered in golden flames, and two other prison race powerhouses with 12 pairs of wings flew over at the same time. They could clearly see that the black sword hilt that had emerged from the swamp was gradually becoming visible. Just one, and it's a supreme treasure. The three experts of the prison clan were also excited. Star Behemoth, put down the treasure. Otherwise, we won't rest until one of us is dead. The giant man covered in golden flames roared through voice transmission. Horizontal ellipsis. That voice resounded. Luo Feng couldn't even be bothered to look. His palm landed on the huge black hilt and his god energy began to permeate it. The moment his god energy permeated it, Luo Feng felt that the entire black hilt was one with the swamp. Not good, it's not completely born yet. Luo Feng was shocked. This was a situation where some of the more precious treasures, like supreme treasures, etc., were born. For example, when a shrine slowly appeared, there was no way to rush into the shrine during the process. One had to wait until the shrine completely appeared before one could think of a way to open the shrine and obtain the supreme treasure within. One theory, this slowly floating black hilt was in the process of being born, so it had to wait until it completely appeared before it could recognize its owner. The three prison race warriors were overjoyed when they saw this. They had guessed it too. The towering golden flaming giant let out a maniacal laugh. Scram. The Serene Ocean clone and the Golden Horned Beast, who were standing on the swamp, looked at the three prison race warriors and roared, "Prison race, this is mine. If you want to steal the treasure, I won't rest until one of us is dead." Rumble. The giant man covered in golden flames fell from the sky, his feet landing in the swamp. However, the swamp was only about 1 kilometer deep, so it only covered his feet, not even reaching his knees. The other two prison race warriors floated in midair, their 12 pairs of wings emitting evil energy spread out as they stared at Luo Feng. "Won't rest until one of us is dead? Are you two space beasts looking to die?" The golden flaming rock giant looked down at Luo Feng and the other two little guys. HMPH. Following Luo Feng's cold snort. Rumble. Rumble. The Serene Ocean clone and the Golden Horned Beast simultaneously began to grow. The Serene Ocean clone that was only 9 meters tall immediately became 9,000 kilometers tall. And the Golden Horned Beast also immediately became 10,000 kilometers long. According to the deities of the world technique, the length of the god body didn't affect one's power within a certain range. And the Serene Ocean clone reached 9,000 kilometers, he could unleash his normal peak power. Dart. The 9,000 kilometers tall Serene Ocean clone stood there, the 10,000 kilometer long Golden Horned Beast floated in midair, its wings extended. The two of them stared down at the three little guys below. The three little guys, the 10-kilometer tall golden flaming rock giant and the 0.1 kilometers tall two winged warriors were indeed little guys. HMPH. The golden flaming rock giant raised his head and looked at the two huge beings, coldly snorting. Not good. The expressions of the two prison race black winged warriors changed. The size of the god body reflected one's power. Imperial order. One of the black-winged warriors communicated, even though the space beasts are famous for their large size, that golden horned beast is still alright. A mature golden horned beast is usually 1,000 kilometers long. The Space Beast Alliance has some methods to raise their bloodline. We've even seen golden horned beasts that reach a length of 10,000 kilometers. However, that purple chrysalis, their peak size is only close to 100 kilometers. How can it be so big? Double quote. Don't bother with them. Their huge bodies are just hard to kill. HMPH. On the primal planet, the universe tyrants usually move alone. Those that team up are usually the universe upper echelons. They have 2 universe upper echelons. We have 3. I'll deal with the golden horned beast. The 2 of you deal with the purple chrysalis. The other go get the treasure. Double quote. Alright. Don't fight for too long. Against such a huge body, we'll be at a disadvantage. Double quote. Dart. The Serene Ocean clone and the golden horned beast. One was 9,000 kilometers long while the other was 10,000 kilometers long. They covered the sky and the earth. Even the 3 prison race universe sovereigns couldn't see the black sword body. Luo Feng was constantly paying attention to the black blade. The black blade was slowly appearing, especially the blade which had already grown a lot. It looked like it was about to appear. I have to get through this last bit of time, then this treasure will be mine. Luo Feng thought. Simultaneously, he gazed at the 3 little ones that were like ants before him. He too was cautious. Those that entered the primal star alone were usually universe overlords. Those that joined forces were usually universe upper echelons. 3 universe upper echelons. They were extremely strong. However, Luo Feng still had enough confidence. Universe upper echelon. This is comparable to ZHUO. Luo Feng suddenly exclaimed. Back then I was like an ant in front of ZHUO. But now, even if it's 3 universe upper echelons, in front of my full power, I can deal with them. Unknowingly, he was already standing among the universe's strongest. Kill. The 3 prison race warriors moved at the same time. Golden Light Mirror. Origin Law Domain. Fuse. Golden Light Domain. The golden horned beast bared its fangs, at the same time igniting its god energy to activate the golden light mirror. Using the golden horned beast's god body strength and the god body vibration technique, it ignited its god energy to activate the golden light mirror. Immediately, a full 100 million km was enveloped in the endless golden light. Domain type treasure. What a strong resistance. Even if it's not a domain type treasure, it's still a top tier one. That space beast has a domain type treasure. The 3 prison race warriors were shocked. This treasure was no less than a normal treasure, even though there were 3 of them and 2 of them. However, with the domain type treasure obstructing them, it made their advantage not that great. Space beast, you're looking to die. The golden flaming stone giant roared, becoming a beam of light. A huge flaming hammer appeared in its hands, smashing towards the golden horned beast. Ho, accept your death, prison clan scum. The golden horned beast roared loudly, flapping its wings. The glistening golden Wu Slayer's wings were tens of thousands of km wide, like 2 huge blades. Along with the golden horned beast's dive, the 2 huge blades whistled as they sliced towards the golden flaming stone giant. Starfire piercing the sky. The wings were like blades, slicing towards the prison race's golden flaming stone giant. Even though Luo Feng's blade technique Bright Moon Tactics hadn't reached the ultimate level, Luo Feng had already begun to modify it. After all, it was using the same technique in different ways, even though it took up a lot of time. This Bright Moon Tactics third form had already reached the point where it could defeat the Primal Chaos City Leader's 1,600 opponents. It was considered one of the top pinnacle techniques. Compared to the 1,000 opponents threshold, it was at least 6 to 7 times stronger. The blade technique was an absolute pinnacle technique. The weapon was a treasure. The god body strength. The vibration technique was at the overlord level of the universe. Even though the beast god's conception was weaker. But they complemented each other, completely not fearing the universe's advanced warriors. Dart. Starfire piercing the sky, Jade burns the sky and shatters the earth. The Serene Ocean clone stood beside the Black Blade. He was wearing the golden vibrating dragon armor, burning his godly energy and spirit energy vibration technique to unleash this move, only to see thousands of black shadows flying out from the Serene Ocean clone's chest, breaking through the skies, following which a majestic huge beast god appeared in midair. The beast god roared, rumbling as it charged towards the two black-winged warriors of the prison race. 10,000 Star Deo presentation third form. Starfire piercing the sky, Jade burns the sky and shatters the earth. This move, Luo Feng had never unleashed it outside. This was the first time he unleashed it, and he relied on the Serene Ocean clone to unleash it. Dart. The Serene Ocean clone and the Golden Horned Beast exploded together, along with the Golden Light Domain to suppress the opponent's movement speed. They immediately headed towards the three advanced level warriors of the prison race universe. Chapter 1059 Swallowed Star. Rumble the Golden Flame Rock Giant used all his strength to wave his godly hammer. The godly hammer immediately smashed towards the Golden Horned Beast, and the Golden Polar Domain's resistance couldn't stop the godly hammer at all. With this hammer, planets, stars, neutron stars etc. would instantly be destroyed if they touched it. Even a black hole would be destroyed by this hammer. The Golden Flame Rock Giant roared and unleashed his most powerful hammer strike. Even though it didn't cause the space to shatter in the primal star environment, it wasn't that this hammer wasn't strong, it was just that the primal star environment was special. Peng. That hammer clashed with a huge golden shining feather blade. The Golden Flame Stone Giant, who was holding the divine hammer with both hands, was sent flying backward. While flying backward, his huge stone feet stomped on the air several times, forcing him to stop in midair. Damn space beast. The Golden Flame Rock Giant roared. Prison Clan bastard. The Golden Horned Beast became a beam of light, already turning back and descending once more, that huge feather blade slicing down. It was as though it could slice through everything in its path. Clash after clash. The Golden Flame Rock Giant's own agility couldn't compare to the Golden Horned Beast with the Wu Slayer wings. Furthermore, in the Golden Polar Domain, it was facing heavy resistance. It was completely suppressed. The Golden Horned Beast was simply too huge, causing its Wu Slayer wings to be tens of thousands of kilometers wide. With one wing, the Golden Flame Rock Giant couldn't even dodge. Dart. The Serene Ocean clone was like a stabilizing force, standing in front of the Black Blade, looking at the two black-winged Prison Clan warriors in the distance. At the same time, he controlled the huge beast god to chase after the two warriors. Rumble the beast god roared in midair, as fast as a shadow. Once the two black-winged warriors ran too far away, the beast god didn't chase. The beast god was only within a certain range of the Black Blade. The moment the two Prison Clan warriors entered that range, they would immediately be attacked. One had to know that the beast god was a spirit weapon. How fast was its flying speed? On top of that, he also had the Golden Line Aurora domain. As long as he was within this range, he would be able to send the two Prison Clan black-winged powerhouses flying in a short amount of time. Boom. A black-wing powerhouse was sent flying. Meanwhile, the other black-wing powerhouse who had charged into the perimeter from the opposite direction rushed towards the black sword that was slowly floating up. Roar. The beast god roared and flew in the opposite direction. It was so fast that it left behind an afterimage. Immediately after, it crashed into the Black-Wing powerhouse and sent the Black-Wing universe venerable flying. Imperial Edict. What should we do? We can't charge in. Double quote. That spirit weapon is too fast. Also, they have domain-type treasures. Double quote. Our divine bodies have been consumed by 3%. That despicable purple cocoon behemoth hasn't even consumed 1/10,000th of its divine body. We can't let this go on. The two 12-winged powerhouses hovered in the distance and transmitted their voices to the Golden Flame Stone Giant at the same time. The Golden Flame Stone Giant could only roar angrily. There was nothing he could do. Due to the size of his divine body, he didn't consume much of it. But he was clear, the golden horned beast in front of him had used up even less god body. Even if his entire god body were to burn, the golden horned beast in front of him wouldn't even burn 1% of its god body. Ha ha ha, the other foreign races are coming. The golden flame stone giant suddenly communicated. Let's fight for a while longer. When the other foreign races arrive, these two space beasts will definitely panic. Then we'll have a chance. The two 12-winged warriors surveyed their surroundings and revealed expressions of glee. Indeed. From the other two directions, there was a team flying over. Dart. That's the North Border Alliance team, a total of 3 Universe Knights. That's my Great Alliance team, 2 Universe Knights. Yuhei Luofeng surveyed his surroundings and swiftly made his decision. However, with my current identity, that Great Alliance team will only treat me as a Space Beast Alliance member. Without caring about anything else, while suppressing the 3 Prison Clan Universe Knights, Luofeng observed the black blade that was slowly floating up. Slowly. The black blade's entire blade tip was about to fly out. Soon, it's about to completely emerge. Luofeng was anxious and expectant. Quickly, 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 we have to completely emerge before the other teams arrive. 2 teams swiftly flew over. One was the Great Alliance team and the other was the North Border Alliance team. Even though the Great Alliance team was a member of the Great Alliance, they weren't humans. Seeing the scene from afar, they swiftly made their decision. Ha ha ha, it's a treasure. It's definitely a treasure. The treasure is still emerging. They haven't recognized its owner yet. Quickly. While the Space Beast team and the Prison Clan team are in a stalemate, let's quickly snatch the treasure. Dart. The North Border Alliance team's 3 Universe Knights were equally overjoyed. Knowing that this was a rare opportunity, they all flew with all their might. One had to know that the North Border Alliance was the alliance with the most races in the universe. Formed from a large number of races, the North Border Alliance had many Universe Knights too. For example, in the Ancestral God Sect's Glory Worlds Plaza, there were usually only about 1,000 Great Alliance heirs there. However, the North Border Alliance had hundreds of thousands of them. One could see the difference in numbers. Hence, on the primitive planet, the North Border Alliance's Universe Knight team was the most common. And because there were more Universe Knights, when it came to resource distribution, compared to the human race and the other top 6 races, warriors of the same level usually had fewer treasures. One of the 3 Northern Border Alliance universe supremacies was over 10 meters tall. His entire body seemed to be made of purple metal. As he flew towards the black sword body, he carefully observed it. His eyes revealed a look of doubt. That seems to be impossible. That's not possible. Quickly. 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 Luofeng was extremely anxious. Even though the black blade was almost at the tip of the blade, it was obvious that its floating speed was much slower than an absolute warrior's flying speed. Great Alliance and North Border Alliance's 2 Universe Knight teams, even in the Golden Polar region, still maintained their speed as they approached. Ha ha ha, too late. The Prison Clan's Golden Flame Rock Giant laughed loudly. Space Beast, you won't be able to get this treasure. Even so, it's not your turn. The Golden Horned Beast let out an angry roar that shook the skies. Rumble. The Golden Horned Beast suddenly flapped its wings and immediately turned back, returning to the black blade. Hua. Yuhei Luofeng too took a step back, stepping beside the black blade. Come. Yuhei Luofeng and the Golden Horned Beast surrounded the black blade, obviously intending to defend to the death. As long as they could hold on for a little longer, the treasure would be theirs. Don't even talk about you Universe Knights. Yuhei Luofeng thought, even if it's a tyrant, the Golden Horned Beast with the Calamity armor doesn't fear it at all. Even though my Yuhei Luo's body is weaker, and that Golden Vibration Ho Emperor armor can only activate its second form, weakening the physical attacks to 1,000th of its power. It's weaker than the Calamity armor, however Yuhei Luo's body is huge. It'll definitely be fine if it withstands it for a while. Double quote. Yuhei Luo and the Golden Horned Beast were like 2 mountain ranges. One stood beside the black blade, the other floated above it, blocking any alien races that dared to approach. Kill. Kill. Get the treasure. Quick, the other 5 teams are about to arrive. Let's hurry. The Great Alliance and North Border Alliance's 2 teams also realized that the other 5 teams had appeared in the distance. However, they estimated that the other 5 teams would need some time to arrive. 3 teams. Great Alliance, North Border Alliance, Prison Clan. A total of 8 high-level knights, simultaneously charging towards the space beast in the center. Rumble. 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 The 3 teams simultaneously became beams of light and rushed forward. Ha! The golden horned beast spread its wings, blocking right at the front. Whoosh, whoosh. The wings suddenly expanded, and the golden wings, Wu-slaying wings were priceless treasures that could easily change color, spread out in all directions. In an instant, they had become enormous wings that were hundreds of thousands of kilometers wide. When the enormous wings closed around the sword, it was like a mother hen protecting her chicks. The enormous golden wings completely covered the area below. If he wanted to snatch the black sword, he would have to blast the golden wings apart. Attack. Ha ha ha, he actually wants to take it head on. Kill. The 8 universe supremacies attacked at the same time, especially the outsider race supremacy from the Hong Alliance who wielded a blade wheel. The blade wheel in his hand was an ordinary treasure, and it struck the golden wings time and time again. Dart. The golden horned beast's 4 thick hooves were like pillars that supported the heavens, standing in the swamp. The depth of the swamp couldn't even cover the claws of the golden horned beast. The wings were raised high, completely protecting everything. Rumble. 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 The 8 high-level knights teamed up. Their power was so strong, it was like an overlord wielding a treasure, attacking again and again. That's all you have. The golden horned beast stood there as stable as a mountain, allowing the attacks to descend. After being weakened by the Wu Killer's wings and the Calamity armor, with the golden horned beast's huge body, it could easily block them. Dart. This wing is a treasure. It must be a treasure. There are very few treasures that can become this big. Even if it could, under the combined attack of 8 high-level knights, it would still have to shrink. Otherwise it would collapse. This wing is definitely a treasure. North Border Alliance, Great Alliance, Prison Clan, these 3 teams, a total of 8 high-level knights, immediately deduced this point. Normal treasures, even some overlords could destroy them. Even top-tier treasures, if they shrunk it would be fine, but if they purposely made it bigger, it would weaken the defenses, and it would collapse. Dart. When the combined attacks of the 8 high-level knights couldn't do anything to the golden horned beast, the golden horned beast and the Serene Ocean clone's gaze landed on the black blade, only to see that the tip of the blade had finally floated out of the swamp, following which it floated in the air, its aura completely retracted, becoming like a normal treasure. The treasure is in my hands. The golden horned beast roared. Immediately a thread of god energy flew towards the black blade, wanting to imprint its life imprint within. Chapter 1060 Swallowed Star. Luo Feng's god energy swiftly drilled into the black blade. His life imprint was imprinted and the master recognition was successful. The lowered head golden horned beast's eyes were filled with curiosity. What's going on? There's actually no information from this treasure. Yuhei Luo Feng too was curious as he looked at the black blade. Like many treasures and treasures, when they recognize an owner, there would usually be information transmitted into the consciousness. Usually it would be a detailed description of the weapon, even a technique to use the treasure, etc. Of course there were some treasures that didn't have any information, like the star map, Wu Killer Wings, Pagoda Pearl etc. etc. Whether or not there was any information, depended on whether or not the warrior who created the treasure left any information behind. The Pagoda Pearl was a part of the Star Pagoda, it wouldn't contain any information. The star diagram was an ordinary supreme treasure that Mountain Guest had created by combining the star diagram and many ceiling stars. Hence, some treasures and treasures might not have any information within. However, according to Luo Feng's information on the primal star gathered by Yu Zhao Knight, Any treasures or treasures that appeared on the primal star, these were all treasures born from the universe. These treasures naturally had information. Weird. Luo Feng was curious. Bang. 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 The 3 teams of 8 high-level knights were madly attacking, time and time again hitting the golden horned beast's wings, breaking Luo Feng's train of thought. So, the golden horned beast's thoughts moved, causing the huge black blade to swiftly shrink, simultaneously entering its body and fusing into one of its scales. Dart. How an angry roar that shook the heaven and earth resounded. At the same time, the huge golden wings that seemed to cover the sky swiftly shrunk, from a few 100,000 kilometers wide to a few tens of thousands of kilometers wide, naturally revealing the golden horned beast and the serene ocean clone, the 2 majestic figures. Upon seeing this, the 8 universe super beings who had been surrounding and attacking him were disappointed. That treasure has been taken. It's already recognized its owner. Damn space beast, let's go. The 8 super beings of the universe glared at the serene ocean clone and the golden horned beast. First, the 3 super beings of the prison clan flew away. The 5 universe supremacies from the Hong Alliance and the Northern Border Alliance were also disappointed. They didn't have any thoughts of obtaining the treasures. They knew very well that before the treasure recognized its master, they could still fight for it. But now that it had recognized its owner, the only way to get the treasure was to kill the golden horned beast. One had to know that the golden horned beast was fine enough to taking on the attacks of the 8 knights. One could see how strong its defense was, and if it really wanted to escape, they wouldn't be able to stop it. The thing that made them unable to have any intentions of stealing the treasure was the size of the golden horned beast's body. Such a big god body. He's just trying to exhaust us slowly. Before we can kill him, our god bodies have already been burned out. We came late this time. It would have been better if we had come earlier. That precious treasure has fallen into the Star Behemoth's hands. Hong Alliance and BGN Alliance were not satisfied. Haha, the 5 of you, you're too slow. The golden horned beast let out a low voice. Count yourself lucky. Let's go. The North Border Alliance's 3 Universe Venerables and the Great Alliance's 2 Universe Venerables swiftly left. The Golden Horned Beast and the Serene Ocean Clone looked into the distance. At this time, there were teams nearing, all attracted by the aura of the treasure and the commotion of the battle. Let's go quickly. The Serene Ocean Clone swiftly shrunk to 9 meters tall. The Golden Horned Beast also shrunk to 100 meters long. Spreading its golden wings, the Serene Ocean Clone sat cross-legged on the back of the Golden Horned Beast. So, swiftly breaking through space. The treasure has already fallen into the hands of the Star Behemoth. Let's go. This treasure hunt has already ended. We'll wait for the next time. Double quote. I wonder if the treasure that appeared this time is a top-tier treasure set or a normal one. The other foreign race knights chatted with their companions, all suspicious, but they could only leave. On Primal Star, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. It relied on both strength and luck. If the treasure appeared closer, naturally they would have a huge advantage. The 3 universe supremacies of the Northern Border Alliance were flying away, returning to their temporary resting place, the peak of a low mountain range. Those 2 space beasts are really lucky. However, the Astral Beast Alliance is indeed mysterious and powerful. They have a domain-type treasure, a wind treasure, and this time, a black sword treasure. The 3 universe supremacies were conversing. The 10-meter-tall universe supremacy whose body seemed to be made of metal was frowning in thought. It's that style. Yes, that's it. That's it. The purple metal knight's eyes lit up. First, he used his divine energy to isolate the surroundings. Following which, he looked at the beast knight lying on the ground with hundreds of soft strips around its mouth. He said, 100 Raccoon Knight, you have a clone in the core of our BGN Alliance. Hurry and send a message to the Alliance. We just found one of the godly swords of Sword River Luo. Jian Helio. The 2 universe supremacies beside him were stunned. Then, their eyes widened abruptly. Especially the row of eyes of the 100 Raccoon Knight. were even brighter, the legendary top treasure Sword River Luo. Sword River Luo, it could be said to be the most dazzling treasure since the opening of the primitive star over 100 years. Back then, a huge tomb had appeared from underground. That was the Tomb of Swords, Sword Tomb. There was an ancient stone tablet in the Sword Tomb. The stone tablet recorded, there were large amounts of precious godly swords, and even several normal treasures, as well as the most precious, Sword River Luo parts. Sword River Luo was made up of the compass and 9 godly swords. The 9 godly swords fused into the compass. Once it was activated, it could transform into an endless sword river. Its power was overwhelming. Once the 9 swords fused into one, the power stacking was even more unbelievable. It was a top domain treasure, and its attack could rival a peak treasure. Just this compass alone was already an ordinary domain type supreme treasure. Once a godly sword was fused into it, its power would increase. As more godly swords were fused, the power would increase. Once all 9 swords were fused, it would reach a perfect state. Such a supreme treasure, the compass that appeared in the Sword Tomb only had one black godly sword. The other 8 godly swords weren't there. Dart. Sword River Luo's godly sword, where is it? Where did we find it? The 100 Raccoon Knight asked. Where are we? The other knight had just opened his mouth when the Purple Metal Knight couldn't help but say, it's the black sword that the 2 from the Space Beast Alliance took away. I've seen the picture of the Sword River Luo before. The black sword stuck in the compass is exactly the same as the one from before. Double quote. The 100 Raccoon Knight was shocked. Quick, report this to the Alliance. The Purple Metal Knight shouted. Alright. The 100 Raccoon Knight nodded. Many of the super warriors that entered the primitive star had left their clones in their clans, and very few had clones in their clans. The clones could send simple messages, however, there were some important things that the clones might not be able to do. My clone has already entered the core area of the Alliance. A Universe Lord is about to meet me. The 100 Raccoon Knight said softly. After a while. Report complete. I've simulated the appearance of the Black Godly Sword with my consciousness. The Universe Lord has already confirmed that it's indeed one of the parts of the Sword River Luo. The number of treasures is extremely small, and it's almost impossible to find one that looks exactly the same. And they both appeared on the primitive star one after the other. It's definitely one of the godly swords from the Sword River Luo. Double quote. The Universe Lord has ordered us not to move for now. Right now he's arranging for the Universe Overlords and the overturned Demon Lord to rush over. Double quote. Our contributions have already been recorded. The 100 Raccoon Knight looked at the other 2. They both revealed excited smiles. At this time, the North Border Alliance immediately began to arrange for their warriors to rush to the primitive star Luo Feng was at. Dart. Virtual Universe. Great Alliance in a city. An outdoor bar. Large amounts of knights were gathered here. The warriors that entered the primitive star this time all left their clones behind. These clones were connected to the virtual universe and used this to send messages. Another treasure has appeared. Look, it's this one. I've seen it with my own eyes. What treasure? Quickly come take a look. Which primitive star is it on? All sorts of voices resounded. Everyone was very interested in the movements on the primitive star. Look, this is the picture. A bald and hairy foreign race warrior with a pair of golden eyes displayed the picture. This treasure slowly appeared from the swamp. It's a pity that I was too far away and was too slow. This treasure was taken away by 2 warriors from the Space Beast Alliance. Double quote. Treasure. What a pity. Such a treasure was right before your eyes and you couldn't even get it. It was actually taken away by the Space Beast Alliance. Double quote. I had no choice either. The 2 warriors from the Space Beast Alliance have bodies that are over 10,000 kilometers long. With such powerful bodies, once the treasure is in their hands, would there still be any hope of getting it back? Even if a Universe Overlord were to go all out, to completely exhaust such a huge body would still require a lot of effort. The Bald Knight said. Isn't that the Sword River Luo's godly sword? Right, the Sword River Luo's godly sword. Dart. Immediately there was an uproar. At this time, a silhouette walked in the outdoor bar. It was Luo Feng. That's weird. The treasure on the primitive star has recognized its owner. There's actually no news at all. Luo Feng was curious. Because he was curious, he connected to the virtual universe, coming to the information exchange area of the Great Alliance warriors. He wanted to find some familiar friends to ask about it. Many of his friends, even the Yun Zhao Knight, were here. Yun Zhao Knight. Luo Feng glanced at the distant Yun Zhao Knight who was listening to the news from others and shouted. Yun Zhao Knight turned to look and his eyes gleamed. Blade River. Luo Feng smiled and walked over. Suddenly he frowned. A silhouette attracted his attention. It's him? Luo Feng recognized the bald knight. It was one of the two from the Great Alliance that attacked him on the primitive star.